As we sit in silence, let us hear a few words on God Remembrance by Swami Kriyananda. To remember God means not only to think of Him constantly, but to realize that finding Him is an act of remembrance truly. For it is from Him that we have come. When the clouds of delusion evaporate from our minds, what will be left is what was there always. Hidden behind the clouds, the blazing sun of divine consciousness. One should not strain nor reach outward mentally to think of God. Know that He has been yours always, nearer than your nearest thoughts and feelings, nearer than the very prayers you offer Him. Think not merely about Him, think to Him. Share with Him your passing feelings, your idlest fancy. Talk with Him. Practice His presence at first, perhaps for a minute, few minutes a day, then for hours, and then all the time. Let me also read out to you from Whispers from Eternity, Yogananda ji's interpretation of the Lord's Prayer. O Heavenly Father, Mother, Friend, Beloved God, may our ceaseless silent utterance of Thy holy name transform us to Thy likeness. Inspire us that our matter worship be changed to adoration of Thee. Through our purified hearts, may Thy perfect kingdom come on earth, and all nations be liberated from misery. Let the soul freedom within us be manifested outwardly. May our wills grow strong in overcoming worldly desires and finally be attuned to Thy faultless will. Give us our daily bread, food, health, and prosperity for the body, efficiency for the mind, and above all, Thy love and wisdom for the soul. It is Thy law that with the same measure ye met, it shall be measured to you. May we forgive those who offend us, ever mindful our own need for Thine unmerited mercy. Leave us not in the pit of temptations into which we have fallen through our misuse of Thy gift of reason. Shouldst Thou wish to test us, O Spirit, may we realize Thou art enchanting beyond any earthly temptation. Help us to deliver ourselves from the shadowy bonds of the soul evil, ignorance of Thee. For Thine is the kingdom and the power and the glory forever. Amen. Let's take a moment of silence to assimilate this prayer, to offer this prayer from our hearts and minds at the feet of the Lord. And when we say offering at the feet of the Lord, do not think that you're offering it to someone outside yourself or up in the clouds. Feel that you're offering your prayer to the divine presence within you right now, right here. And to be able to do that more effectively, you can take a moment and fix your gaze at the point between the eyebrows. And from here, you can transmit the prayer that you wish from your heart in towards the universal intelligence, towards God, the formless, the infinite omnipresence. Okay, so friends, we begin our satsang on talking to God through prayer. And I would like to begin by narrating a few true stories. So the first story is about George Muller and his orphanage. So this is a story that dates back to 1835 to 1870, somewhere in that time frame in England. And George Muller was a person who adopted 30 children in 1835. And then, of course, this number rose gradually over a period of years to more than 2,000. And an interesting part of his running the orphanage was he never took any debt. He would never, ask for favors. All he would do is he would pray with the children and the needs will be fulfilled. And this story is one such example, that it was one morning the children had nothing to eat or drink, and therefore, George Miller, as his custom was, he sat with the children and he prayed with the children and said, "Thank you, God, for providing us with our needs." And soon after, it was found that a milkman they used to travel on horse carts or bullock carts at that time, and the milkman, his cart wheel broke. So, and he had loads and loads of milk with him. And not wanting, of course, to waste the milk, he actually donated the entire stock to the orphanage, and all the children had their full milk that day. Another story is very interesting, and this is about a lady who was struck with lightning, and her body was partially burned because of that, and she had to be hospitalized. The next day, her partially burnt body was published in the newspaper, and a man casually picking up the newspaper, when he saw this image, he was filled with so much compassion in his heart that at that very moment he fell down on his knees and he prayed to the Lord that, "Oh Lord, please help this lady to recover soon and recover well." And it is said that it was later, matched later, that at this very same time, this lady in the hospital was having a near death experience. And it is said that she, having left her body, she was traveling towards the light, and there she met an angel, and the angel showed her this man who was praying for her so deeply and with so much love. And that the fact that lady, the soul, it entered the body again, and very, very soon she recovered out of something which was thought that she would never be able to come out of. Such is the power of a person's compassionate and heartfelt prayer for another person. There's another story, and this is from the time of World War II. So a particular soldier was, separated from his own battalion, and he had to hide in a cave. And of course, the enemy army was searching for him. There was a search party of soldiers going around. And so in sitting alone in that cave, and soldiers are such young children, almost they're very young adults. And timidly he just folded his hand and he prayed with intensity, "God, please, please protect me." And in that moment, what has happened was a spider started to spin a web near the entrance of the cave. So after some time, when the enemy soldier party came and they saw the cobweb, they could never imagine that there could be someone inside. So just thinking that there could be nobody inside, they just left away. And this little soldier boy was protected. And God came in the form of a spider to help him. So God's ways are just amazing. They are beyond our intellectual capacity to understand. But any sincere prayer we see is answered. And another story now. So there was this lady who was, he went into depression because there was loss, and she had no one to go to and talk to. So she would, talk to God in a general way, and she would pray daily. So it's not that suddenly one day she felt that her sadness went away, or suddenly she had company to it, but she kept on praying. So one day, a particular person in her society, he came and asked her if she could help him with serving a few other people. And because she had nothing else to do, she said, "Okay, I'll do that." So she involved herself into some service. And from that very point onwards, she started to feel a little better. And then someone in that group suggested that why she won't go, she should go for therapy. So she contacted one counselor and she started her therapy, and then she started to feel even better. And then when she was, at a nominal good state of mind, then somebody suggested her, why didn't she meditate? So she found a place for meditation and started to meditate. So again, here it is not that her happiness was just dropped into her heart, but because she was praying regularly, she found the right people, she found the right circumstances, which elevated her consciousness, which expanded her consciousness. So she served others, she received healing, and then she meditated upon God. And this prayer was like answered in such a beautiful way. Now, I'm remembering a time from Swami Kriyanandaji's life when he was young, when he was known as Donald Walters. And he was very young, and he was so desperate for truth that he would continuously pray that he be shown the truth. And then he said, God, I want to know you, and then I want to share you with all others. And one day, of course, when he put his mother on the ship because she had to travel to Europe, and he found himself alone, and he went to a bookshop. And it is very, very interesting. He later narrates that as he was going to the bookshop, first he thought of taking another turn, but he said that there was almost a force that pushed him in the direction of the bookshop. He went into the bookshop, and there he saw Master's autobiography of a yogi, and he just held on to it, and he just clung to it like anything. And we know the rest of the story, how he just finished the book in a couple of days, and he took the overnight bus and traveled continuously, and finally he came at the feet of Yogananda. So again, a beautiful example of answered prayers. And sometimes you don't even pray so desperately. So when Paramahansa Yogananda ji was in body, there were so many miracles happening around him, and he would not say anything that he's doing anything, but people around him could assess that these things are happening. So many car accidents were avoided. Like Dr. Lewis was in a car and was about to go in for an accident, but he prayed to Master and he was saved. Another person was driving a truck, and the brakes of the truck, they failed, and he thought of Master, and the truck came to a stop. Another time when there was some construction happening in the buildings at the where Master was there, and a person was climbing with some weight on a very tall ladder, and when he was quite at a height, because of the weight, the ladder kind of shifted away from the wall, and he was about to fall, have a great fall. And at that time he said, "Oh Master," and that very time the ladder went back and leaned on the wall. In fact, another incident, the construction engineer said this later, that there was this big slab, I think of stone of, let's say, 6 by 4 feet, and that slab was about to fall on the devotee, but instead of falling on the devotee, it stood still and then fell in the opposite direction. So there were so many stories about Master's healing when he was in body, and we know that even though he is not in body right now, but still people feel his presence in their life. When they pray to him, they do get response to their prayers. They feel his guidance. So the more we attune ourselves with him, the more we feel our prayers to him are heard, and the more he can guide us and hold our hands and take us to our goal of self-realization. So these are stories of belief, of faith. But let's take another scenario, and let's just consider another story. So let's say that in these times there is a young woman. That young woman has recently her partner has left, so she's all alone, and she's just dropped her job recently. So basically, because of recession, she was just put off her job, and now she's all alone, and she doesn't even have a job. And of course, we all have financial and emotional needs that we need to meet. And so basically, here she was all desperate. But since she was an atheist, prayer was out of the question, prayer was not even considered. So, of course, she went to a bookshop, tried to find a self help book. She read that book, but of no avail. And then, as people go to therapy sessions these days, she met with a counselor. So, the counselor gave her a simple practice. She said, okay, why don't you at the end of each day just shout out loud whatever your difficulties are, whatever your anxieties are, whatever your fears are, just shout them out loud into your room. And then, but at the end of that, just also say one thing of gratitude and one thing of hope. So this woman felt that it was a strange practice. Wow, how come she would talk to the ceiling? But since she had nothing else to do, she thought, okay, let me give it a try anyway. So each night, she would speak out her anxieties, she would speak out her fears, and she would say, oh, I'm feeling so lost, I'm feeling so anxious, I don't know what's going to come tomorrow, I don't know where the money will come from, I don't know if anybody is going to love me from now on, I don't know if I'm even capable of love, I don't know if anybody likes me. So the little, the rant that happens, that we have in our heart, but we don't let it out many times. So she would say that, but at the end, she would remember that she has to say something in gratitude and something for hope. So she would say, oh, but thanks, at least I am in good health, and I hope for more courage to keep going on in this life. So a few days, a couple of weeks passed, and she started to feel, relatively calm in her heart, and she would be able to sleep better, and she had more motivation to find a new job. And so she actually found one which was much better suited to her than the previous one. And then she met her counselor, and the counselor just, smiled at hearing her out, and the counselor said to her, do you think what you did can be called kind of a prayer? And do you think it worked? So this lady was, of course, she's thinking and she's saying, well, I don't know if anybody was hearing me out or not. But yes, the practice did save me because it helped me to unburden myself. And besides, it helped me to see the things that I still had and to see, the silver lining in the cloud. And yes, I feel I was helped. So what is the point of this story? Whether we know it or not. See, God is not, as we said, beyond the clouds. God is everywhere. God is the very intelligence and the substance of this universe that we live in, of our own bodies and minds also. It's present everywhere. So whenever with a sincere heart we say something out to the universal intelligence, and what that does is our own mind is refined by that. Our own anxieties are turned to trust by that. Our own consciousness is elevated by that, whether or not we believe in a specific anthropomorphic form of God. It is immaterial. So, so let's come to a point where let's ask this question. Do we think that prayers are answered? Does it work? And the answer is yes. And the yes comes in two ways. So one way of answered prayer is that whatever you asked for, that got fulfilled. And that's the broad category of many times this is true for us. We ask for something and it just happens. But the other way around is that what you asked for didn't come, but what happened was your scattered thoughts started to be focused. Your emotions which were all over the place, which were making you suffer, those started to get settled. Besides that, the most important thing in your life happened is that you opened a channel to the divine. In humility and in surrender, you bowed down to a power which was greater than yourself. And in simply doing that, we know how much power there is in humility and surrender. That itself, because your ego was transcended in the process, you put your little I aside, automatically your life has started to transform. So this is basically the second way and the more important way that prayers do work and prayers are answered in one way or the other. So, so let's ask this question then, why does it appear, that some prayers are not answered? Why? What are the reasons why our prayers are they not heard, or what is it? So the first point here is why they are not heard is because God doesn't understand what we want from Him. Our minds are so restless. We have so many layers of thoughts. We have so many layers of emotions. Plus, we have so many attachments that we even ourselves, we do not know what we want sometimes. So we have to come to a point of, settling ourselves, calming ourselves down, and then thinking with clarity, and then only God will understand what we want. And that is why it is said that the prayers become, 100 times more powerful after we offer them after our Kriya meditation. When we sit in stillness after our meditation technique has been done, in that stillness, if you were to offer your prayer, it will be 100 times more powerful. So we must remember that. So our own restlessness is acting like a static, which is not allowing the real message to go across to God. Now, the second reason why our prayers are not answered is because we feel they are not answered, but they are answered. The answer is no. God says no. And it's a clear big no. So, for example, if your toddler or a preschooler who is attracted to mobile phones and suddenly starts to pray to you as a parent, oh mummy, oh daddy, please buy me a new phone. I want a phone. I want a phone. I want a phone. He keeps praying, I want a phone. I want a phone. What will be the parents' answer be? Is it not that the parents love the child? Of course, the parents want the best for the child, but the parents' answer will be a big no. So similarly, some of our demands are like the toddler demanding a phone. And the answer is a big no. So we have to understand, acknowledge, accept that this no is coming from God, and it is coming from the love that God has for us. Not because he wants he wants to deny us from the pleasures of this world. No, because he is thinking of our highest good, and this no as an answer is the answer to my prayer. The third way is that, as we've discussed in the story, is your prayer is not answered directly as you think it will be, but some other transformation happens, and that is what is the answer to your prayer. So, for example, again, if a youth is praying, God, I want money, I need money. I mean, God knows you need money, and so, but God will not just drop money from heaven, okay? But He will send you people who will give you opportunities. Maybe He sends someone who takes you to higher education. Then He sends someone to give you a job opportunity. But then you have to put in your self effort. You have to work hard in studying. You have to work hard in working. And then money will come out of the ether, you know. So, but you have to churn yourself in the ether so that the money is manifested from the ether. So what happens, not only, so God has answered more than what you were looking for. You had asked only for money. God gave you not only money, but He gave you the skill of hard work, of focus, of, training yourself, of self-control, of self-discipline, and all that you developed during the process of earning that money. That was the answer to your prayer. So we may feel that the prayer that we had offered has not worked, but we fail to see how wonderfully and how beautifully God has actually answered our prayer. Now, the fourth reason why prayers appear not to be answered, and here they may not be answered, is because we are not believing when we are praying, or we have a sense of hopelessness. So if that is the case, then prayer is not going to be answered. And that is one thing we have to really keep in mind, that do I really believe that when I'm praying, that my prayer is going to someone is listening, and then it is going to give me fruit? If I am doubting all the time, then it will not work. Okay, so now let's come to some very, very important concepts about prayer as given by Paramahansa Yogananda. Master said that everyone has his or her karma. So if I pray for myself, I have certain back karma. That is why I'm here. And if I pray for someone else, even they will have some karma. So I cannot presume to change any karma, my own or anybody else's. So that has to be very clear to me. And also, the second point I have to remember here is that, God will not change His laws out of flattery or praise. Okay, so that again, so the fact that there is karma and that flattery and praise will not change His law. Let's understand this a little more. Let's take an example. So suppose there is, in an office, there is an employee, and the boss is a kind boss, but the employee starts to take an advantage of the boss. He doesn't come on time, he doesn't finish his projects on time, he's absent when he's required to do his work, and all the time he complains about other people, all the time he is blaming others, he's stealing credit from others, and he wants a rise every time, every few months he wants a rise. But the boss is still kind and he's still keeping him at the job. But now when this employee really needs something, so the boss knows the exact situation. Now, if this employee just tries to flatter the boss after misbehaving for many years, now suddenly the employee brings flowers for the boss, or he starts to flatter the boss, oh, you are so kind, or you are so nice. Do you think it will erase the memory in the boss's mind of what his behavior was? No, he's not going to answer. So the boss will not change the rules of the company because suddenly one employee who was behaving badly is suddenly now starting to flatter him. It's not going to happen. This is a very simple worldly example. We are talking of the universal intelligence. We are talking of God here. So God will not go with flattery and praise, but But then, does that mean, so now if karma is fixed and he will not go with flattery and praise, does that mean that we have to continue to live in misery? Does that mean that we have to bear all the sad consequences of the things that we did in the past that we do not even remember? Now, is that our fate then? To then suffer and cry around? Master says clearly, no. Why? Because God is love and love is law. So, and love is higher than law. Now, again, let's take an example to understand this. So, suppose you are a parent and you have a child at home, and of course, the child is a prodigal child. He has never listened to you. He does what he wants to do, and whatever he does is harming himself. And he's running away from home. Whenever he needs some money, he just comes home and he asks you for money, and so on and so forth. He just keeps doing that, and you are really frustrated. You are desperate. As a parent, you want the best for him, but he just doesn't listen to you. And then suddenly he starts pestering you more and more for more things, more things, more things. And of course, you will not provide everything right away. But over a period of time, if you find that the child's behavior is changing, that he is practicing self-control, that he is helping his friends and his relatives, that he is being respectful to the parents, that he is asking for forgiveness from you, will your heart as a parent not melt? Will you not love him? The same parents' love never changes, but will you not just embrace him with the same love as you would have done earlier? So same is the situation with the Lord. If we behave correctly and if we lovingly ask for forgiveness, then God is all love. And there is this beautiful story in the Bible which goes exactly like this, that there is this father, he has two sons. One is a good son, he stays with the father, takes care of all of his work. But the other son goes away and he asks for his share, goes away, is prodigal, is lost. And then he is so out of money and so desperate that one day he thinks, okay, the servants in my dad's house are doing better than I am doing, so let me go there, at least I will get something to eat and somewhere to stay. So as he is coming back home, the father sees the younger son coming home, and he asks his entire staff to be ready for a great meal because he wants to welcome his son who had gone haywire. So here is the love of the father. The father is happy to rejoice. And the elder son who's thinking that, oh, I have been so sincere to my father. But see, he's almost throwing a party for the younger son when he's coming in. And he asks his father about this whole situation. And the father simply says that my lost sheep has come home or is coming home. Such is the love of a father. Heavenly Father, Divine Mother. So again, love is greater than the law. So if we are good children and if we just go back to our Father lovingly, then He is more than happy to take care of His lost sheep, which are all of us. Okay, so now other important things. Now, a Master said, you must ask from God as a son or a child of God. Do not be a beggar. So if you are a beggar, you are going to get a beggar's pittance. But if you behave like a son, and behaving like a son would also mean that you are behaving nobly, you are being good. And if you do that and then you ask your father for anything, then he will give you whatever belongs to you. And Master said that we should remember that God is our Father. He is the King of the universe, and whatever belongs to Him, we are heirs to His, everything that is His. We are His children and He loves us. So we must ask as children and not as beggars. In Hindi, I will just say a few words on this. It said, हमें भिखारी नहीं बनना है, हमें अधिकारी बनना है. So अधिकारी बनने के लिए, लेकिन we have to behave accordingly again. So again, we have to behave as legal heirs of the Father and not as beggars. So let us always remember what is our attitude while we are praying. Then another point Master said, that pray for legitimate desires. Now, if you start praying, God, make me the king of this earth, will He do that? No. And why would you want to do that? It is so much business, so much work to run the whole earth, you cannot manage it. So ask only for what is legitimate. Ask for your true necessities. And then he says, what is your true necessity? Your first and most important true necessity is God himself. So ask to be united with God himself. And then later will come all other necessities, which anyway God knows. Okay. And then how should you pray? Another important thing that we should remember is we have to pray believing. And not only do we have to pray believing, that is one aspect, the other aspect is we have to put in our self effort to attune ourselves to that grace that is coming to us. So for example, if I pray for a home, I want a home, and I God knows home is my need. But in my mind, subconsciously I'm saying, oh, you simpleton, oh, you hopeless fellow, you don't deserve a house, you cannot afford a house. So this is the background tape that is going in my mind. So then prayer is not going to work, because your own subconscious is fighting against your, the prayer that you're offering. And side by side, if you don't build the house yourself, means you put in your self effort, the house will not be given to you from heaven, it will not be dropped. Okay, so simultaneously you have to have two things. You have to know that you are a child of God, therefore you deserve to have whatever your needs are on earth will be fulfilled, they can be fulfilled. And if you put in your efforts and if you attune yourself with the divine, or everything will happen. Okay. Then finally, he says, you should diffuse the can'ts in your mind. So there are a lot of can'ts. I can't do this, I can't do that, I don't have the power, I am so weak, I am so poor. Remove all of that from your mind. He says, again, remember, you are a child of God and God has given you the power of will. With this given power, you should actually, if you really, really want something which is also your legitimate need and you are putting in efforts, even if something does not exist in the universe, Sri Yukteswarji said this, it will be created for you. It will be manifested for you. But then you have to behave like the adhikari, the child of God. That means you have to be noble, you have to be dignified, you have to be self-controlled, you have to be loving and compassionate. So if you're fulfilling all of that, it will be manifested for you. Now you may say that only if I'm dignified and noble will God listen to my prayers only then? No, of course not. He listens to the prayer of every heart. It's just that hearts don't know how to connect to him. And here we should answer this question, why should I pray in the first place? Is simply because as a child, as a soul, I want to express myself, and prayer is the language of love between me and God. I want to connect to God, and therefore I must pray. I want this connection where not only I inform him that, oh God, I need this, but I elevate my consciousness to meet him. And then I also want to pray because I want to align my will with divine will. I do not want to say that, oh God, why is life not going my way? But rather I want to say that, help me to harmonize my life so that I can follow your way. And then when I create this bridge, this connection, then automatically I want to pray, because this will help me to find solutions to my problems. I will start to receive guidance in my life. I will suddenly in prayer know what is the next step that I need to take, or out of the two choices, which is going to be better for me. So that guidance will start to flow towards me as my connection with God deepens. And then this connection will also transform my life completely. Because on the one end, where I was living in anxiety and fear, now I will start living with trust and happiness. I will know that the omnipresent power of God will always provide my needs. So I will start to get transformed. Besides, I will give away, I will transcend my littleness here, knowing and surrendering that there is this higher power who is always loving me, who is always protecting me, is taking care of me. And importantly also, why should I pray? Because I want to thank God. Once I have this channel through which I am connected to the divine, so not only am I asking for things always, I am thanking God for whatever he has given me. So gratitude in itself is prayer. And in gratitude, automatically our heart opens and we receive many more blessings than we even think. God is such a great provider. He knows all our needs and wants. And finally, I should also pray because sometimes I need healing in my life. or my relatives need healing, or some people need healing around me, and I can be that channel of healing. And it is now very clear, even scientifically, and medical science accepts the fact that people who have a spiritual life, people who have faith, people who pray for or are prayed for, they tend to handle stress better, they tend to cope with illness better, and they quickly get well as compared to others who are not believing in God. So we see, prayers have all these benefits. But then there are certain tricks as to how we can make our prayer get results to us. So these tricks or hacks, what are these? So first hack is pray intelligently. So what do I mean intelligently? I'm not saying intellectually only. So this means we are not just using a complex jargon of words to impress God about our literary skills. No, intelligently means using both your mind and your heart. Give all the devotion of your heart. Give all the clarity and focus of your mind as you pray. The second important thing is to pray with continuous zeal. Pray unceasingly. Even if you feel that your prayers are not being answered, you have to continue with your efforts. Then, importantly, pray knowing in yourself that someone is listening to you. It's just saying out vaguely something, and when you say it intently, knowing that the person in front of you is listening to you, there's a huge difference. So know that God is not this mute, unfeeling being, impersonal being in the universe. God is love himself. So when you pray with the bhav that God is listening to you, then automatically everything will come in sync, and you will feel aligned with God, and you will be able to pray better. And then Master also says that keep repeating your prayer until you feel a response. And what kind of response? He would say, pray so much that you feel that the ether around you is burning. And then he said, how would you know that God has responded? Feel the tingling of joy, feel your nerves, they will feel that excitement, that energy. Your body cells will respond. You will know that your prayer has been heard. And this comes after deep meditation, you see. So it's not that suddenly out of restlessness you will pray and you will pray and you will feel that your body is vibrating with that power. But if you have been meditating for a long time, if you have been offering your prayers sometimes in calmness and sometimes in real need, then and you have developed that communion with God, then you will find that you do feel that yes, God has heard me. And even if your prayers are not answered, in a couple of times of prayer, keep repeating, keep that connection. And as we have discussed earlier, the answer may not be just as you think. It may be even better. It may be whatever is for your highest benefit that God will provide for you. So continue with lot of belief, lot of devotion, and intelligently. Keep praying. Do not settle till you find some kind of answer coming from God. Now, it's like, when you sow the seed of prayer, it's like a plant which you have to really, really protect with the continuous connection, with your continuous devotion, with continuous meditation. And as the plant grows and blossoms, you will find that you get the results in your life. But sometimes some plants have certain parasites. So what are these parasites which will not allow your prayer plant to grow? And the first of them is doubt. And we've discussed this earlier. But do not doubt that the Father is listening to you. Do not be distracted. Distraction is another parasite. Be focused in your prayer. Another parasite is absent-mindedness, that I am just simply parroting my prayer. Neither I am feeling anything near God. God is also not feeling. Because you are not feeling, therefore God is not responding. So just be aware of these parasites on your prayer plant, and then you can remove all of them with sharp focus of mind, with clear intent, with an open heart, with regular meditation. If you offer your prayers in the calmness after meditation, you will find that your prayer plant definitely gives you results. So, dear friends, I will end today's satsang by quoting a few verses from the Bible where Jesus says, he says, Ask and it will be given to you. Then he says, if you have faith and doubt not, all things whatsoever you shall ask in prayer, believing, you shall receive. And then in Mark 11, he says, I tell you, therefore, everything you ask and pray for, believe that you have it already and it will be yours. So friends, let us share the blessings that we have received with soul friends everywhere. Let us pray together. Divine Mother, thou art omnipresent. Thou art in all thy children. Manifest thy healing presence in all bodies, all minds, and all souls. Om. 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 Divine Mother, great Gurus, may thy love shine forever on the sanctuary of our devotion, and may we be able to awaken thy love in all true hearts. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Thank you, great souls. Jai Guru.
Jai Guru, Dr. Radhika, thank you so much for spending your precious time with us and all the lovely tips you have given us and awoken our consciousness to the power of prayer. Thank you so much. Om Guru. Have a lovely day, everyone. See you.